On the journey with the NPP as it wraps up all its activities towards November 4 to select its flag bearer that is going to actually be in front of the party or lead the party into election 2024. Right. This week, we started, dealing with the issues, and we started from the camp of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Today, we're going to the camp of Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto, who is one of the top 5 of the persons that also want to be flag bearer for the NPP. And the person representing him on the platform this afternoon is Mr. Kenwood Nowosu. He is co-chairman for Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto's campaign team. He will be with us in the studio. But before we introduce him, let me just go straight. Today we had a press conference addressed by himself, Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto, wrapping up the campaign. What are the things he said? Maxwell Nkansa was there, and he brings us details from the office of Dr. Akoto.
The delegates who are voting on Saturday and through this media are being addressed for the last time by myself and my campaign team. We have only 3 days to go for the crucial election of 4th November. I stand before you this morning with a deeply sincere appeal to the delegates of the NPP to vote for me to bear the flag of our beloved party. I continue to echo the fact that the November 4th election is not a make or break issue for this party, but the election is an important historical decision for the party. That is, whether or not we can break the 8 come December 2024. My campaign for this election has been informed by my vision of this party and of the nation. The vision is inspired by the liberal philosophy of the founding fathers of our tradition. The current low morale in the party required drastic reforms and urgent introduction of new approaches to give hope to our activists in particular. My vision for the nation is by now well known to all Ghanaians. It is to give priority to agriculture in the allocation of public resources to support both small and large-scale farmers, to generate the needed resources to fund our economic development. As you all know, I have conducted the most issue-based campaign so far, concentrating on selling my vision to the delegates. I have been very careful not to offend any member of our party in the course of my campaign. This approach has been followed strictly by my campaign teams around the country, and I'm very grateful to them. This is to ensure that with my coming victory, which is almost certain for Saturday, all members of our party can come together to campaign for victory in 2024. We desperately need unity within our ranks and outside our ranks if we are to break the 8. As your flag bearer, fellow delegates, I intend to invite both former members and non-members of this party to join us for the historic victory of December 2024. And by that, I mean those disenchanted with what is happening in the party to the extent that they've had to leave this party. If I become flag bearer from Saturday, I'm going to invite everybody to come back to join us. That is the kind of unity we are looking for. And that would ensure and signal to this country that yes, the NPP is ready to continue the governance of Ghana. Our campaign has been conducted from the smallest hamlet to the biggest cities around the country. And we have ensured that our message is carrying the vision to all the 217,000 delegates. In the course of our interaction with the delegates, we have learned a lot about the needs and aspirations of our members on the ground. These lessons will form the bedrock of the reforms that I intend to carry out if you delegates elect me on Saturday. In the past few weeks, my field visits have clearly shown a wave sweeping through the support that I enjoy amongst delegates across the country. This is confirmed by both our monitoring teams and independent research. Victory is beckoning. These fast emerging trends in the mood of the electorate encourage me to make a passionate appeal to the undecided voters to make up their minds firmly to vote for Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto on Saturday. Here I'm addressing the delegates directly. Dear delegates, please look beyond any tempting one-off monetary enticement and think about the future of the party for the sake of your children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren. Stand with me on the side of the great UP tradition of our forefathers. In this regard, the party is making the necessary arrangement to ensure that all delegates are able to travel to the voting centers to cast their votes without any fear or intimidation. My appeal at this stage, late stage it may be, is that you delegates should not be tempted by offers which may provide a one-day relief and leave our party in the sand. Think of our history, our traditions, and past victories, and the great sacrifices of our forefathers, and vote Akoto. On this note, I extend my warmest greetings to all delegates casting their votes on Saturday. Remember, Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto stands tall in seeking your interest for the future of the party and Mother Ghana. Vote wisely. Vote Dr. Akoto.
Welcome back. So that's Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto. Earlier on today, he addressed the press, wrapping up his campaign. And so we're all waiting for November 4 as we'll bring you details. Your election central will be there with the NPP to bring you all details that will unfold as the party gears up to elect its flag bearer into election 2024. The person that we're having a conversation with this afternoon is Kenwood Nowosu. He is a co-chairman for Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto's campaign team. You're welcome. Good afternoon to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for your time. How is he doing? He's fine?
Very fine.
Well, at least we've seen him this morning, so
yeah.
he's doing
Very
he's in
hale
good
and
health.
healthy, yeah.
Yeah. What has he said so far with all the little disagreements and attacks and threats thrown across camps of the flag bearers that are gearing up for this showdown? And it's a showdown.
The Saturday showdown.
Yes.
Yeah, it is not going to be any big showdown. Like he said, he's conducted the most issue-based campaign so far. He's been decent, and that is his character. He's displayed it throughout the campaign, and that was also replicated by all his lieutenants and all those who went out to campaign on the platform of issues, no devoid of insults and provocation. Like he rightly said, at the end of the day, at the end of the contest, the winner would need the support, the resources, and everybody on board to be able to prosecute a credible election in 2024. But when you have a party that is bruised, damaged, and divided just because of internal politics, an attempt to select a leader, a flag bearer, and the party will disintegrate almost. It will take years because the party itself has taken years to build. And we don't want history to repeat itself. And he stands out as the most unifier.
What makes him stand out?
He stands out in terms of what you have said, in terms of attacks and throwing of missiles and threats of showdown and all of that. He stands out as one person who has conducted a very decent and issue-based campaign. He has projected his vision both for the party and the nation very explicitly throughout.
Maybe one would say he is not a force to reckon with, because we've seen polls come out. I have a video of him with Paul Adumotre, an earlier interview where he makes references to what the polls are saying, but it really doesn't reflect what he thinks is on the ground because he's been interacting with delegates. Maybe from the various camps where attacks are coming from, he's not a force to reckon with.
No, that cannot be the truth. Because, as he said, that those were sponsored polls. And the super delegate conference that we had actually discredited most of those polls. Before the super delegate conference, his camp was not given any dog chance. He was not, reckoned. And we are now next to the second person in this campaign. And given the underpinnings of the super delegates conference, the true strength of the various candidates have not been displayed enough. Now that we have descended on the base of the party, that is where the true strength of every individual candidate is going to show. A contest devoid of intimidation, a contest devoid of unnecessary monetary inducements will actually expose, the strength of every contestant in this race. And that is what we are determined to do. We have known our targets. We said it time and again that we were not going to do fanfare. We are not going to put many people who do not have the vote at this stage, onto the streets like others were doing. After the super delegates conference, some of those fanfares came to a stop.
Yeah, but
then people begin to realize that the internal campaign, the internal selection process was supposed to be done with delegates, not everybody out there. So that is where we are. And we are determined, and the results are showing we have been on the ground.
But using people who are non-delegates are part of the political strategy. They whip interest, they communicate to delegates.
At the right
tell
time,
you what they need.
engage
They are
them at the right time.
Grassroots.
I argued this matter before. For example, Alan Kojuk Chirimanten had some works. He put out a lot of people in the streets, with a lot of fanfare, all in the name of NPP and internal contest. Now that he's backed out of the race and resigned from the party, what is our expectations or the expectations of all those people? Are they not going to be disappointed? Are they not going to be disenchanted? Is it not going to take us time and efforts to be able to bring all those people on board? Or are they going to go with him? That was the danger involved in the fanfare and the street jams we were talking about. At that stage.
That's ridiculing him now.
Pardon?
You're now ridiculing him.
It's not a ridicule. Because I mentioned this before. right on Metro. That was unnecessary. The fanfare at the time, not only in Alan, all other candidates were doing it. And we were mindful of the fact that that was not the stage for mass mobilization. That was not the stage for mass mobilization.
So what do you say to his stepping out of the party? Were you disappointed? I didn't particularly hear from the camp of
very regrettable.
Dr. AFRIYIE AKOTO.
Very regrettable. Dr. Akoto have mentioned it time and again. That was most regrettable. It was regrettable. And he sympathized with him because of the conditions he complained about.
Which you agree, I suppose.
We all were concerned about those things. A level playing field. Devoid of the intimidation. Devoid of unnecessary monetary, inducement.
Yeah, but that's a person standing principled. That this is what I expect to happen. If that's not happening, then I'm stepping aside.
He should have warned sufficiently before then. He's not the only person who suffered some of those injustices or uneven field. Okay? And every true party person must be ready.
Yeah, but
to effect change or engineer change from within, not from outside.
So your decision to stick to it and let it slide cannot be applied to everybody.
Because it was not the end of the process. There was room for improvement. There was room for correction. We could always use our internal processes, as it were, to effect change. Our internal processes to effect corrections. The answer is not defection. The answer is not resignation. The answer is not breaking away. This is a large family that we have built over time. However, we regret his exit. And we are determined, as my principal have said, Dr. Akoto have said it, that his prayer is that he wins the Saturday elections. And as the leader, he will bring back Alan Kojo Chirimate and all his supporters on board. Because the party needs everybody, their talents, their resources, and presence to be able to prosecute a very credible election next year.
Is there a belief that the party has been divided? Does his camp, or does your camp believe that the party is at a division, deep cracks have been, set into the party, and it's destroying the party?
The worst thing that has happened to NDC is for them to have a leader without a context. In every political party, historically, the world over, there are factions. And these things are well pronounced during internal party elections to select leadership. These things come up. Even in Metro TV here, okay, there are factions. There is no human environment that we don't have factions.
And
okay, factions do not mean divisions. Factions are not divisions. Competition is inherent in man, and the purpose of or essence of democratic election is, disagreements, divergent views, which at the end of the day, we are all like-minded people in the same party.
So there's been people
So factionalism itself is not division at all.
So that's how you want to see the situation with the NPP now.
When the internal elections are over, that is why Dr. Akoto have rightly said it, that he's careful not to hurt anybody throughout his campaign. That is an experienced politician. He's careful not to attack or damage anybody. Because at the end of the day, you need to bring all of these people together to help you win an election. Don't make it impossible or difficult for people to be able to join your campaign because of pronouncements and activities or, issues during the internal campaign that will make it difficult for people to come on board.
Now let's look at his candidature. What is the one thing that convinces Dr. Akoto that he can be president of this country, as people have actually criticized the fact that, well, is it that because he was Minister for Agric, and so providing food for the country makes you think that you can actually be president of the country? It takes more than just food. What is that one thing that convinces him that he thinks that in his political life or professional life, he's achieved so much that it gives him the strength to be able to handle a whole nation?
I don't know what other qualification anyone needs to lead a nation. Particularly if we have looked at our previous leaders, at least under this fourth Republican Constitution, from J.J. Rawlings, former President Kufuor, to Atta Mills, the late Mahama. Then we have the current President, Nana Akufo-Addo. You look at their background, education, professional, and all of that. What more does it take to be a leader? This is an agricultural economist with international exposure who has worked in the international system as a consultant for the World Bank and all of that, and have been exposed to international commodity activities. 2 times member of parliament, a legislator, a ranking member for Agric, who had put forward several proposals. A former cabinet minister responsible for agriculture and a member of the National Economic Management Team. Privately also, he's an industrialist, he's an agriculturalist, and has put forward the most successful program, planting for food and jobs, jobs and exports. As we speak today, I saw the president relaunching the second phase of the planting of food for job, a program he has put forward. And that has benefited Ghana. In spite of the world food crisis, Ghana has been able to hold onto itself. This man has succeeded in passing into law the Tree Plant Development Authority, and before his resignation has put before Parliament the establishment of another authority, that is the Seed Development Authority. Since 1948, when Cocoa Board was established, it was only during his tenure that another commodity management board has been established, which is the Tree Plant Development Authority. This is the man who believes that commitment of sufficient public funds to agriculture is the solution to our problem, not borrowing to finance, debt. Using debt to, finance development.
If I ask...
And he's not overqualified to be the president of this republic.
Well, those you mentioned are not necessarily qualities of becoming a president.
Can you outline some of the qualities of a president so that
I'm not going to outline.
His countenance?
But I'm telling you that these achievements are not necessarily qualifications of becoming a president. What? Necessarily.
So I challenge you to mention 1 or 2 qualifications of a president, and I will answer you.
I'm not here to answer questions. You are the one answering questions.
So I have answered you.
So I take your answer.
This is his background.
Right.
This is his background. This is his exposure. This is his record. And you don't think that he's very overqualified even to be a president of this republic?
The second phase...
Compared to people who have been presidents of this republic before?
Okay. So the second phase of the Planting for Food and Jobs policy has been launched. Can you give me a summary of the success rates of the first Planting for Food and Jobs phase 1? What was the nature of his report?
It was hugely successful. For the first time, Ghana has been ranked among the first 3 countries that were near full security under his tenure. And I've mentioned the fact that Ghana, in spite of the world food crisis under his tenure, haven't suffered any such calamity. of food shortages.
But
I don't think that was hugely successful.
But not suffering.
We have increased the production of cocoa.
I'm saying that not suffering food shortages.
We have doubled the over doubled the production of rubber and all of those programs under his stewardship. If the program was not successful, it was not the second phase of it was never going to be relaunched.
We doubled the production
government would have abandoned the planting for food and jobs. I wish he told me that we were going to interrogate some of those things, okay, rather than you told me we were going to do his campaign so far. However, I have supplied sufficient information
but this is part of his campaign.
Ambush.
These are part of the critical questions
that
to
is our
ask,
platform.
because
that is to commit sufficient national resource to agriculture, to finance our development, to finance our education,
to hand over a country that is in challenging times like Ghana into the hands of Dr. AFRIYIE AKOTO. It will be very important to know that the little that was given to him, what did he make of it?
So successful.
If we know, when you say so successful, how successful? You said that he doubled the production of rubber.
Not only rubber, in all areas of the economy, cocoa, for instance. Unless, of course, you are the only stranger in Jerusalem.
I'm not challenging that. You go ahead. I'm not challenging that.
Yes. So it's undisputed.
When it comes to food productivity, for example, we talk about maize.
Ghana has been ranked among the first 3 countries in this continent that are near food sufficiency, food security under his tenure.
That we didn't have. Well, I am not sure if I can pull it up now. But is it to say that in previous administrations where we suffered from shortage?
It took agriculture from under 1% to about 4%, and all of that. I wish I have my documents here.
The documents, right?
I mean, the analytics. Okay, would have done analytics. Next time when you are inviting me, let me know the areas so I prepare for you.
These are areas that are very basic. It should be at the basic.
Oh, of course, that is what I'm telling you.
At your fingertips, so that anywhere.
And he's a friend of farmers because of his approach to his work, his field works, his interaction with farmers, and the rural people. That is one secret of his approach. And he's not going to be an office president.
How is he friends? When you say friends of farmers, how do you mean?
I'm saying that the man was
he was a minister for agric. He was
always out there. He was not an office, an armchair agric minister. He was always in the field. The only time he was not in the field was during the COVID era. But even that, he was at a few places. But generally, he's a fields person. So he's not going to be an armchair president. He's going to be in the field. And once he's talking agriculture, if you take cocoa, that has become the mainstay of our economy. There hasn't been any public commitment to cocoa. It's been in the hands of peasant farmers all these years, since the days of Gorgesbeck or Tetekwashi. He's saying that if we have deliberately applied public funds, deliberate policies to develop other 3 crops, like rubber, or 3 crops like, what do we call it, coconut, shea, and what have you. Ghana would not have been borrowing, Ghana would not have been going to the IMF today. Ghana would not have been going to the IMF today.
If he were president.
That is why he wants to be president.
So this government...
So that he will use agriculture to finance our development, like we have used cocoa to finance education and other infrastructure development in this country.
So he's worked in a government...
We have the capacity and the comparative advantage as a nation.
Dr. AFRIYIE AKOTO, with all his achievements, has worked in a government that has failed for going to the IMF.
You mean the government failed?
Yes.
How do you measure that failure?
Well, because you said...
Do you say going to the IMF is a failure?
But why did you say that?
He said we cannot continue to use debt to finance our development. Okay? And that if you have put our act right, if we have committed sufficient resource to agriculture, sufficient, we have competing needs. And it is the priority of the government at the time that will determine, the application of public funds to various sectors of the economy. And he is saying that you would have prioritized agriculture, funding of agriculture, and that would have solved our long-term development needs because we have the competitive advantage.
So how does he describe this government that continues to use debt to, grow the country or develop the country?
It's been so post-independence. It is not peculiar.
Did he suggest anything to the economic management team that, listen, we can't do this, let's do A or B, and it will put us on this path? Has he?
Otherwise, he would not have resigned from the government to pursue this path.
But he only resigned recently. That's because he was going to pursue his presidency.
The point must be made that he's been talking up to the extent that he's been talking about sufficient funding for agriculture to solve our problems. Okay? But he's not a leader of this country. He was just a member of the economic management team. He can only put forward his suggestions.
So who do we hold responsible for some of the, maybe you may not like me to use the word failure, but
failure is out. It's not the answer.
If you don't want to, I will spare
because
you.
some
I'll
other
spare you that. I'll spare
why
you that.
I would like you to spare me this ordeal is the fact that some other members of the same economic management team are out there campaigning.
Exactly.
Okay, so you want to push me to a stage where you want me to mention names of people who must take blame for the so-called failure you are talking about.
Oh, the way you choose to answer that one is in your hands. The power is in your hands.
Okay, put your question.
So if you want to mention names, I'll be glad. But I want to find out, who do we hold responsible for how the economic management team has, where they've taken us to?
It is a collective responsibility.
We have from Dr. Akoto's desk saying, well,
it is a collective.
I'm not in charge. I can only suggest.
It is a collective
We heard from Alan Chematin saying that I suggested and they didn't listen to me. We've heard from Dr. Baumia's camp that he was not fully in charge. I mean,
and who else was in charge?
I should be asking you is your government.
This is not a time to shift blames.
This is the time to answer questions to what you were given to and how you put, the opportunity that you were given, how you put it to use. So let us know.
So in his sector, Dr. Akoto in his sector had been largely successful.
In his sector.
And he's saying that he will replicate that when he becomes the leader in all other sectors.
You're still watching Good Afternoon Ghana. We are in the camp of Dr. AFRIYIE AKOTO. I earlier on told you that we were in the camp of Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia, who also had to convince us that he can lead the NPP. And remember that most of these persons that are also fighting to be flag bearers for the party have worked closely in the government or have been appointees of this government. So some of the questions definitely they would have to answer to it. But let's take a breather. When we come back, we'll come and wrap up with the co-chairman of Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto's camp. Welcome back to Good Afternoon Ghana, and I'm still with Kenwood Nwosu, and he is a co-chair for the campaign team of Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto, former Agric Minister, now vying to be flag bearer of the New Patriotic Party. Has Doctor made time to visit the flood victims in the Volta region, and what does he make of the situation?
Flood
victims in the Volta region.
He's not been there, but his team
has been there. And what did they make? What's his whole assessment of the situation? Because if you actually check, by 2016, we had some 15.6% of the access households in the northern regions, Bonga, Hafo, and Volta regions, who were food insecure. But we also know that that Volta region, it it's a food basket. It was one of the food baskets of Ghana, and most of the farmers have their farms, submerged in the water or in the floods. I expected that as former Agric minister, it should have been a point of concern for him to suggest something. I know I don't know if I've forgotten their name, but the food organizations like a food security something I've forgotten the name. They all visited. They've accessed the situation, and according to them, it doesn't look like they can do anything. Even in about a year, it might take some time to be able to recover, even with the land.
What was he going to do differently as an individual? He was up north for the disaster. What else was he going to do differently? No longer in government. A Greek minister. All you can do
Former
is probably
Greek
to
minister.
send some private donations, whatever agricultural concerns that will emanate from the disaster will definitely be addressed by the Greek ministry.
Yes.
And the government interministerial, committee have outlined the fact that government will support those whose, farms and properties have been affected.
What government will do, government to do. But Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto holds a PhD degree in agricultural economics. I mean, it won't hurt to suggest things, give ideas. This is what we can do. This is what you can do. This is what you can do. He's not in office.
He hasn't made
but,
any such public pronouncement, but who knows? The president is still his friend. He might be whispering into his ears. We haven't discussed as a team, what should be done. And we are saying that there is an Greek ministry. There is already an outlined program by the government and the interministerial committee as to what they are supposed to be doing there. And the government has promised that farmers will be helped to replant, to recover their farms. They'll be giving support to do so. What else
can he do?
As an individual.
Okay. All right. Let's focus on the party. He's going for this election. It's just this weekend, Saturday. The seeming cracks. How is he going to put a party together should he win?
He's mentioned it today.
And he says he's not.
I am re-emphasizing the fact that throughout this campaign, he stands out as a true party person. He stands out as a matured politician. He stands out as the most unifier. He's been invited a number of times by both the National, Presidential Elections Committee, the Council of Elders, to share his perspectives on most of the developments in the party. And he's the only candidate who came out openly to bemoan, express regret about the exit of people like Alan Chimante, and promise that if he becomes the flag bearer, he'll do everything in his power to bring all of them back into the party and on board his campaign. That is what he's determined to do. And he's one person who hasn't hurt any of the camps. So it will be very, very, very easy for him to invite everybody else and put them on board his campaign.
He also said that he's not, so much interested in bribing delegates, as we've heard allegations throwing across camps.
He didn't use the word bribery.
Well, he didn't use the word bribery, but he's not, spending money on any delegates. In some way, maybe that's what I can couch it.
He didn't say he was not spending
money on
money
delegates. What did he say?
delegates.
Tell me what he said. What did he say?
He's advising, asking delegates to consider their future and the future of the generations unborn.
The way you looked this way, I thought you were going to say to consider their stomach.
He's advised them not to think about their stomach, but to consider their future and the future of the party, and elect a leader who will unite the party, a leader who can bring everybody on board and prosecute a credible campaign in 2004. Okay? And that they should not be influenced by monetary inducements.
Is there monetary inducements?
It's involved in politics.
Is there?
Of course, yes. For which reason, they have contributed money as aspirants for the party to pay transportation and lunch for delegates, so that delegates do not become desperate to the extent that, one or two aspirants might want to influence them.
But we've heard from another camp that some chiefs in a certain region have decided that they're going to take up this transportation and food for for delegates and all that.
That is unofficial.
It's unofficial.
Yes, officially.
You've heard that, right?
I think I saw that in the social media.
Okay.
But I don't know how authentic it is, and we have not been.
Well,
told.
it has to be authentic because
No, it is not. It is not.
From the party.
Chiefs don't fund our party activities.
So the
no time, nowhere in our history have chiefs come together to fund our party.
This is said by your
they
party chairman.
They can make a contribution
it's
to
by your
the
party
party
chairman.
Which party chairman?
That it was said by the Ashanti Regional NPP political party.
And we are saying that is unofficial.
Chairman.
It is unofficial.
So
he doesn't speak for the party. The Ashanti Regional Chairman has not speak for our party. There is a presidential elections.
No, I disagree.
No, please.
A party chairman.
I have been a regional chairman 3 terms.
Just a moment.
Of this party.
Just a moment.
I have been a regional
chairman. As a regional chairman,
yes.
When you were a regional chairman,
yes.
Should you have made any comment as a regional chairman? The news
that
agencies
cannot be binding on the party.
The news agencies.
He's not the national chairman of the party.
Will capture
Neither
you.
is he the chairman of the elections committee. Please don't push us to areas that are controversial areas. I'm saying that.
But you should be able to deal with controversial issues.
The issue is that I said that is unofficial, and that constitutionally or organizationally, chiefs don't fund our party activities.
So
the party
what have you done?
The party is reliant enough, and I've told you that the party is going to pay TNT and lunch for delegates.
Accepted.
Anything other than that is unofficial and cannot be a matter for discussion. I didn't say it. I didn't say it, so I cannot speak to it.
But to have a party chairman say a thing like that,
I'm saying that is unofficial.
Which you don't agree, you say it's
unacceptable.
Unofficial. You should condemn it from your camp. Why haven't you done so?
The matter has not come before us.
It doesn't have to come
told you
before
that
you.
I didn't hear it. The matter has not come before us officially.
You already
Why
committed
are you
yourself?
asking me to speak to it?
You already committed
I'm not
yourself.
the one who made the announcement. That is the reason why the party has come out to tell the whole world that nobody else but the party is paying TNT. Anything other than that is unofficial or an unnecessary inducement.
Is it unnecessary inducement or it's vote buying?
How can you say chiefs have contributed money to do what? And it's vote buying. If you want to say it's vote buying, fine. We are saying that it's unofficial. It's not a matter before us. We have not been informed by that.
Okay. We're wrapping up from the camp of the Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto's candidature. He is actually the co-chair for his campaign team. Talk to delegates. Talk to delegates now.
We have been to the delegates. We have been to the Hamlet. We've been to all the corners of this country. We've been doing this over the last 2 years quietly and have stepped up over the last 6 months or so. Our campaign, and our message is clear to our delegates that Dr. AFRIYIE Akoto, number 3 on the ballot, is the best placed person to lead our party into the 2024 elections, because he carries no baggage, he hurts no one, and stands taller in terms of those who can unify our party and lead a credible campaign. He has espoused the most comprehensive program to make the party self-reliant, to invest in party functionaries, and also have shown the capacity, to use his experience and exposure to bring about serious transformation in our country, a country that can, from within, solve its economic problems, a country that can use agriculture where we have comparative advantage, okay, to finance our development and stop using debt to finance our development. And he's asking delegates not to look beyond him, but to vote for him massively. They should think about their future, the future of our party, and the future of this country, and vote wisely and resist all manner of, inducements that will make them happy for only a day, and they will relapse into the sand days after. That is our message.
I thank you very much for coming through. Now, if you are actually not a member of the NPP, you still must be interested, because you should know who is being appointed, selected, elected to lead the political party, because that person will eventually become the president of the country should they win the election 2024. The person that we're having a conversation with is Ken Wood Nwosu. He's co-chair for the AFRIYIE AKOTO's campaign team. I'm grateful that you came through on Good Afternoon Ghana. Thank you for your time. We wish you all the best on November 4. Right. And for viewers, thank you also for sticking to us. We will come your way again throughout the week as we bring you the rest of the interviews for all the flag bearers or the flag bearer aspirants, yes, before Saturday, as your election central will sift through and bring you all the updates happening within the camp of the NPP. My name is Annie Fampo. Thank you for watching. Good afternoon.